Morning. I'm Stacy Ritter, Broward County Commissioner for District 3. This is my first coffee with Stacy, and I hope you enjoy what we're going to do today. I got to tell you that the idea didn't come from me originally. There's a county commissioner on the west coast of Florida who does these coffees weekly and has a guest, a community leader, a business leader, someone of interest from the county, and puts it out on YouTube, and hopefully it'll go viral and you'll learn something about Broward County and what we do and who we are. I'm coming to you this morning from the Tamarac Cafe Diner, which is located at the corner of Nob Hill Road and McNab Road. And the phone number here is 954-720-9655. The owner of the place, Costa's, been really good to us. And you'll hear some chatter in the background. I hope you can hear us, even though there's some chatter in the background. Since this is our first coffee with Stacy, and we're going to be doing it in various places throughout the district, although we'll be here at the Tamarac Cafe Diner the third Monday of every month at 11 a.m. So if you want to come by, you're more than welcome to and ask questions. I'll be taking questions also, and you can email me questions at sritter@broward.org, which I'll also be happy to answer. But for today, for the first one, I thought that we would bring our Assistant Budget Director, Marcy Gelman. She's with the Office of Budget and Management at Broward County. Thanks for joining me this morning.
My pleasure.
Because we've just gone through in Broward County a very serious and severe round of budget discussions and cuts, and a lot of people just don't seem to know what Broward County does, or how we do it, or how the money is spent, or how it's collected, and how it's cut, and how the decisions are made. So I asked Marcy to come this morning to give just a really general overview, and if you have any follow-up questions, again, you can call my office at 954-357-7003 or email at sritter@broward.org, and we'll follow up. But for today, I wanted a real quick, down and dirty, because I get a lot of questions, a lot of emails from people who say, cut the fat, why don't you cut your own budgets, why don't you cut salaries, why don't you cut pensions, why are you building a runway at the airport for $1 billion with my tax dollars? So can you just give us like a general overview of what, this $4 billion corporation we call Broward County, where the money actually goes?
Well, as the Commissioner stated, our budget is about $4 billion, and only about 25% of it is supported with property taxes. The rest of the budget, the other three-quarters, are enterprises like the port and the airport. We have a water and wastewater utility. We run waste recycling and disposal plants. Other fee-supported things like building inspections, we provide that to many cities. Tourism programs, those are non-property tax-supported programs. So only about a quarter is supported with property taxes.
And the property taxes come
from the property tax bill, of which the county is only about a quarter of the bill. Three-quarters of the bill. Another misconception is the county, because we send the bills, people think that the county is the taxing authority for the whole bill, but really only about 25% of the taxes on the bill come to the county.
Because when people say to me, they'll get their tax bill, and there are really 9 or 10, 12, 15 different line items, and they'll say, well, why did you raise my taxes? And with the exception of this year, the county hasn't raised your taxes. But it could have been your city, it could have been your independent water district, Broward Health.
Yes.
And the line that says Broward County actually funds what?
It funds lots of county programs and also programs run by what we call constitutional officers, such as the sheriff, the property appraiser, the supervisor of elections, and then there's county services. Our biggest tax-supported services are parks, libraries, human services, and transit are our biggest property tax and generally funded services.
So if my tax bill was $1,000, which, by the way, I wish it was, how much of that actually goes to the Board of Broward County Commissioners to spend?
Well, about a quarter of it comes to the county, and about half of that goes to the sheriff's programs, law enforcement programs, and detention programs, and the rest of it, the other half, comes to the county for its programs. As I said, more parks, libraries, transit, human services being the biggest of those.
So if it's $1,000, the county actually gets $125 approximately to spend.
Yeah.
And the rest goes someplace else. So we are actually a very small percentage of the overall bill.
A very small percentage for the county's programs.
let's take that $125, multiply it by however many homeowners there are, and it's obviously just an approximation. Tell me where the money goes. The biggest chunk of the Broward County, the money that goes to the Board of County Commissioners is spent where?
Right, the property tax money goes to, well, we run a regional library system. We have a regional park system. We all the buses that the regional bus service, we run all of that, and we operate a series of family success centers that provide emergency assistance that's very much needed in these economic times, and provide a lot of other subsidies for health services, things like that are really heavily utilized in these economic times.
And how much has Broward County cut the past year? I've been a Broward County Commissioner since '06. How much money have we cut from our budget since in the past 3 years?
Well, of the property tax supported budget, which is really where the public focuses on, of all the agencies, including the constitutional officers, the BSO and other constitutional officers, have cut about $260 million.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
I don't think that most people realize that we've cut $250 million from our budget the last 3 years. Where has the biggest impact been?
In the counties, I can only speak for the counties programs. In the counties programs, we've had to reduce library services. We've closed on Sundays, and we've reduced hours. What we do is we look at the users, and we try to make our cuts so that they impact all the users and the customers the least. So we look at all the hours, and we try to cut the times that are used the least. Same goes for parks. We closed parks for a lot of the year on a couple of days that are used the least. On bus routes, we looked at how many riders are on bus routes, and we've been tweaking the different routes and cutting frequencies and doing things that to affect the least amount of people. But the other thing is we've done a lot of consolidations of departments and a lot of streamlining of services too, so that we cut without impacting services. We tried to do all that first before we went to impacting services.
There's a lot of discussion too, I find in my emails when I read the paper or the comments on the stories, that we should be cutting more of our salaries and we should be cutting employees. How many? When I got to the Board of County Commissioners, we had I think Bertha Henry, who's our county administrator, has said we've cut thousands.
We've cut, overall in the last 4 years, we've cut 1,800 positions, about 1,300 of them under the county. And what that means is that we have cut services, but in addition to cutting services, a lot of people are doing more than one person's job now.
Now, not all the positions were people. Some of them were vacant and they were just taken off the books. But we have actually fired people at Broward County.
Yes, unfortunately we have, and we've tried to minimize the impact because we don't want to add to the unemployment in the county. But unfortunately, when you cut that much money, there's got to be an impact.
Now we get money from other places too, and actually what I learned most from about the budget was from this presentation that Kayla Olson, who's the budget director, did to the Management Efficiency Study Committee, which is a committee that meets every 6 years, although now will meet every 10 years because the charter changed earlier this month. And I'm on this study committee, and this is a really great, easy PowerPoint presentation. If you want it emailed to you, just email me, let me know, again at sritter@broward.org, because this is what I thought was really interesting. It's simple, it's simplistic. I'm not a number person. Marcy knows I'm not a number person. But I thought it was really interesting that Broward County gets funds from other places too.
Yes, we do. In terms of the tax-supported budget, a lot of revenues are down, not just property taxes. Things that make sense when you think about it, like auto tag fees. People are buying fewer cars, people are driving fewer cars. Recording fees, since people are buying and selling fewer properties, we're getting fewer fees in that. The state sales taxes, we only get a small proportion of sales taxes that you pay. The state keeps most of them, but we get a little piece of them, and that's gone down tremendously, sales taxes, because of the economy. Interest earnings have gone down. Obviously, there's less money to earn interest on and interest rates. All of those things have an impact on our budget, not just property taxes.
There was one thing too, and I think I just slipped my mind what I wanted to ask you, because it was about the budget, and but hopefully I'll get it back. Broward County has actually reduced taxes every year, though, but with the exception of this year.
Well, actually, we've reduced taxes. We've reduced the amount of taxes that we levy.
Right.
Over the last 4 years, we've reduced it by 25%.
The millage rate, though, has either gone down or remained static except for this year.
For 12 years. And, there's lots of things that go into the amount of taxes we collect. Obviously, there's the property values, which have gone down tremendously. And then there's the rate. And you have to look at the big picture. You can't just look at the rate, and you can't just look at the values. You have to look at how much we're collecting. And we're collecting 25% less than we did 4 years ago. This year, you're correct, the rate went up a little, but we still reduced the amount of taxes that we levy tremendously.
And I guess we'll continue to do so over the next couple of years. I mean, what's the forecast for Broward County?
The forecast is not great. The state is forecasting that for another couple years, 2 to 3 years, our values will continue to go down. And that's not good news for county services, because that'll mean that we'll have to still make all these really tough decisions for several more years. They don't predict that things will pick up for a few years, and then after that, the state's predicting that the growth will be very small. So it probably won't be enough to even address inflation. So we don't envision us coming out of this economic situation from a county government standpoint for several years. We think we'll be in the balancing mode of balancing services, those really tough decisions on what to do with services and taxes for at least 3 or 4 more years, maybe even 5.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for being here this morning. This is Marcy Goen. She's the Assistant Budget Director of the Office of Management Budget at Broward County, and I want to thank you for being here. This is my first one, so you were the first one to come and have coffee with Stacy, and thanks again for being here this morning. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.